If you have teens or college kids in sports, this is a good one to play in the car. My kids and I talked a lot after this one. Of course, maybe they paid attention more because they think our guest is so much cooler than I am. At the same time, you've been warned, there is a ton of swearing. It's your call.
Oh, we're doing. We have a target, and that target is the USC Trojan, and we will eat and drink their blood if we need to win. Uh, and that's where I learned how to really work and really go. Oh, I can. This is how you get shit done. He's like, the hazing's really fallen off. I got to go there and step it up. And I was, what? Oh, I was like, oh, so you're an infected dick as well.
What goes on behind those creaky old boathouse doors? Who's invited and who feels comfortable? Who's safe and who thrives? Who stays and why do some leave? And why do rowers do some of the weird things they do? Let's talk about rowing culture. And this time, let's do it from the perspective of the third boat. I'm Jen Butler. This is the Third Boat Podcast. Today we're going to talk about the old college gridiron and tossing a pigskin. Okay, I really know next to nothing about football, except that, of course, in America, football is a religion. It's a really big deal. And today we get to hear Joel McHale talk about his experiences going from rowing to football. You may have seen Joel in the show Community, which now has a cult following amongst teenagers. He is also in The Bear, playing a total jerk of a chef. I did not see Joel in The Bear before recording this. If I had, I don't know if I could have gone through with the interview. He is terrifying in that show. If you've seen Joel in The Bear as the asshole chef, you will understand. I am so glad I hadn't seen him before. And kind of an awkward segue, Joel McHale has been publicly poking the bear for years. The bear in this case is UW Rowing. I was at the U when Joel was, and our time at the boathouse overlapped by 3 months. I thought, hey, okay, Joel, I'll bite. I don't think I'm the bear he wants to provoke, but I was curious. First, I have a little update for you. While I was prepping for this interview, I noticed that both the UW men's and the women's rowing teams were listed on a hazing compliance report for hazing freshmen last fall. And a little background if you're not from Washington State. About 5 years ago, Sam Martinez, a young man from Washington State University, died due to an alcohol hazing incident at his fraternity. Sam's parents channeled their grief into advocacy, which led to Sam's Law, which is now in effect. This law puts more responsibility on the universities preventing and reporting of hazing. There are also increased legal penalties. For example, substantial bodily harm caused by hazing is now a felony. You could be in jail for up to 5 years. As part of this law, Washington universities are required to post their hazing compliance report publicly. And I don't know the details of these hazing incidents in particular, but I've included a link to the university's hazing compliance report, so you can read it yourself. The men's and women's rowing teams are the only sports teams on this list. The others are fraternities, with one sorority back in 2019. As part of remediation, the men's and women's team will have to develop an action plan for changing the current team culture. Good luck, kids.
This is exciting. Wait, when did you row?
I did.
What class?
So when you were a freshman, I was in my second year of rowing.
Okay.
So I was, an experienced, I think it went novice, then rookie. So that would have been my first varsity boat club year. And you would have been a little novice, a baby.
That's
Yes.
yes, I didn't last long.
How long did you last?
3 months.
Oh,
And then I was like,
that's longer than I thought.
"Oh, yeah, maybe it was 3." Yeah, I was starting in the summer,
Uh-huh.
and, anyway, yeah, so it was yeah, I really yeah, you start. You go ahead, Jen.
Okay.
I'm sure we
Okay.
probably know a bunch of the same people, so,
We probably do.
yeah. Oh, what high school did you go to before we get to it?
Nathan Hale.
Alright,
Nathan
and
Hale in North Seattle. Mhm.
what was your rowing club that you
So I did not row in high school.
oh, you just got to
So
college and said, "Here we go."
yeah, well, a friend of talked me into it, and she kept bugging me and bugging me and bugging me, and I'm like, because I was tall, and, then I showed up and kind of fell in love.
You obviously were athletic, and then they got you to come on over, and they went, "Oh, yeah, 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 this would be very helpful if you're on the team."
Actually, no, no, it really wasn't like that. I golfed in high school, and
Oh,
so I was one of the walk-ons that, like, they were more likely to say, "There are other sports," you know?
like golf.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Which and
exactly.
you were I mean, I remember at Mercer On, they could not get anybody to be on the golf team, and it was a joke when I was in high school, and
Yeah.
now, like, 200 people try out, and I was like, "Things change," and
Oh, wow.
look, the world loves pickleball now, and I couldn't everyone looked at me really weird when they were like, "Is that a dish you eat?" "No."
Right, right,
Uh,
right. No, no, I was on the golf team, and it was because a coach said to me, "Wow, you sure look like a golfer." And then, like, I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I joined the golf team. But, he just wanted his side gig being a coach of the golf team, so he had to get golfers. So,
yeah, well,
I ate it up and, um, I mean, there's worse things than walking around with your buddies in the rain.
yeah, in the Northwest. It's a beautiful time of the year. That was I was always shocked when I moved to Southern California 24 years ago, and I was like, "Wait, they close the golf courses when it rains? What the hell?" And like, "What, they don't in Seattle?" I'm like, "No, they'd be closed half the year. It'd be
Yeah, why would
impossible."
you do that?
So, all
Yeah.
right. So I'll let you get to the real questions. I'll stop.
Yeah, let's get to the real question. So, as part of some of the rowing stories I've kind of come across recently, I'm starting to be really fascinated about kind of group behavior and what happens. Sometimes you can get in hot water within sports and you don't quite realize it. You had an experience at the UW when you started rowing, and I thought that was really interesting. I've heard you mention it a few times. Can you speak to that?
Yes, I'd love to. It's super fun. Yeah, no, well, I loved rowing, and it was something that I could do. I was pretty good at it, and got to the UW, and they asked if I would come onto the team because at that point I don't think there was any. There's no. I don't think there were scholarships for rowing, but
No.
you could get housing paid for partially and meals and stuff. There was some sort of deal. And so I moved in to the rowing club, and I don't even know. You could answer this. Is it still there? Do they
It
still
is.
the
It's
rowers still
beautiful.
together?
No, the rowers no longer live there. It's like, and it kind of you can get event space and offices, but the shell house is the same down below. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, at that point, everyone lived with each other, and uh, boy, I also joined a fraternity, and I didn't think that those guys would be more mature. That is what I like to call opening shot, Jen. And I got there, and it was just this it was just really stupid, to put it in a mild way. Like everyone's really good at what they were doing, but was trying to I've gone because I've been asked about it a ton of times,
Right.
and then everyone always asks me about football because obviously football is a more popular sport, which don't tell the rowers that I their hierarchy and their hazing was just so, it was every part of it, was some sort of you're not doing, seniors, like their chairs and the tiles on the ground, that you couldn't walk on, and all their tiny little stupid rules that, however that evolved, was out of, insecurity and, stupidity, and, I don't know. I kind of thought, well, maybe because the sport isn't very popular, they have to make themselves feel important by belittling, the less powerful freshmen, or sophomores, and the whole hair pillow things.
Mhm.
Whenever I mention, do they still do that, Jen?
I don't know about that. I think at least as of a few years back, I did see they were still shaving their heads, so I don't know where they put it, but
Yeah.
I do remember the cabinet that you're
Yeah,
speaking
the,
of.
very
Yeah.
creepy serial killer hair pillow. There was, for those of you who hear this, like, that you would shave your eyebrows and shave your head, and if you made a certain boat, and you would put that hair into a pillow, and then it went into the display case like John Wayne Gacy. So, really weird, and, so then so I, to this day, like, I complained to the coach, and he did nothing. That was Bob Ernst.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
Then, so this guy named Jason Riney and I, who was a fellow freshman, he married my friend Suzanne. Still married, and
Oh,
works.
nice.
He's a Microsoft. I think he's a lawyer there. We didn't push our chair in, or looked at the seniors wrong, or did something disrespectful in their, little, kingdom rules, something, and they surrounded us and hit us. Uh,
Wow.
and then, so that's when, like, complained to my I remember calling my parents, and I was like, they're like, "What the hell's going on there?" I'm like, "I don't know. These guys are assholes." So and at that point, I remember, because, like, 3 weeks before, when I had moved in, all my stuff was there. But then a senior decided he wanted my bed, and so he just put all my stuff in the hallway, which was not great. Then I complained to the coach, and then there was, like, a speech given by the guy who hit us, and that there's certain rules, and, Bob Ernst did nothing. And, it was I even, like, this is the '90s, so lots of bad behavior. There's always bad behavior, but none of it was ever seeming. I kind of called it out, but it wasn't. No one cared. Uh,
Right.
and I don't know if fraternity hazing was also at the time bad, but this was just it. I don't know why. I guess so. My experience was bad. But those guys, I guess my theory was that again, that the sport was not that popular, so they had
Mhm.
to come up with their own important things to do, like that, to make themselves feel important, as opposed to when I joined the football team, which everyone like, it's funny, because the, assumptions about rowing is that you're a tall white guy who is
Mhm.
good in school, which, there was a lot of white guys, and but in football, you get this meathead mentality that everyone believes. But I've never seen, with football, the biggest hazing was, there was a skit night, and you had to sing a song at dinner. That was all very reasonable and team building, and they wanted to fucking win.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that has all sorts of other baggage on it as well. But we were like, I got on there, and I'm like, oh, the culture's so different, because we're here to win this thing. And if you're good enough to do it, like, there's a guy named John Fiala who walked on the team and became a starter, and eventually became captain of the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers. Who so that was a real difference. Also, it was because it was Don James, who
Yeah.
obviously knew was who is in the pantheon of very great, amazing college football coaches. So, but like, being out on, like, the water, the camaraderie, the team, like, the execution of being a good rower on a team of 8 or a team of 4, it's beautiful and so fun. But
Yeah.
it's so fun. Like, when I got to college, I was like, who are these people, and what is their problem? And I was like, why?
Mhm.
And then I remember just a couple of years later, as I was, well, I guess it was like a year later, I was walking down to football practice, and at this point, I had put on. It was funny seeing the rowers because I put on like 40 pounds to when I was playing football, and then I would see them around the see them because we'd eat sometimes down where they were eating, and yeah, I would just give them. They would give me looks, and I would give them looks.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah, and, but I remember this guy, this freshman I knew was I was chatting with him as we were walking down he was so we were sophomores at that point, and we were both he was walking to rowing practice, I was walking to football, and he basically was like, "Yeah, can't we got I get the hazing really is." He's like, "The hazing's really fallen off. I gotta go there and step it up."
Oh
And I
my
was,
gosh.
"What? Oh,
Oh,
I was like, "Oh, so you're an infected dick as well." So, that was sad. So that's my shitty that was not fun, as you can tell.
yeah.
That was my shitty experience, and that was I think it was the last time I rode. And I we have a place up in Seattle, and I on Vashon, and I wanna get one of those ocean skulls to go,
Oh, yeah. I have one of those. They're fun. Yeah.
would love to do that. And but anyway, that's my very long answer and experience. And like when you have you try to let those childhood things go. And we were young, but if I ever see those guys, I'm going to punch them in the face. No, 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 I'm kidding. No, but I know what I did. Like it's funny that shit that you remember. Like, oh, if I ever see him, I will not. I will not hold back on my verbal chastising. If this is why I always call them out,
Yeah.
and when and I hope they troll me.
Yeah, well, so that's what I was wondering. Has anybody ever called you and said, like, "I am sorry I was such a dick"?
Oh no, no, nothing,
Huh,
nothing,
okay.
never. But if I've had like rowers come up to me and say not confront, but like at different UW things that I see them in the city or like, and they've heard that I was on the team or something, and but they'll be like, they were well, no one's actually confronted me, but more like, I heard you on the rowing team. I'm like, yeah, it was a terrible experience because this guy's love their hazing and their all that, and there I could tell that they'd either been through some of it or
Mhm.
they resented it. There was some trolling on Twitter for a while, which I was like, what a sad troll.
Right.
What there's like, so the privileged university student who's on the fucking rowing this is where, yeah, pick your this is your beef, good, this you've won, you have no problem, way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I have to tell you part of the reason well, pretty much the whole reason I started this podcast, it's because I witnessed an apology.
Oh.
And this is where it gets complicated. Next time on The Third Boat. The consequences of that over there are not you get expelled from school. It's more like someone's knighthood might be threatened, So
Yeah.
like Sir Twinklebottom at OBE or whoever, he doesn't want his alma mater to
Well, as we all will know, Sir
talk.
Twinklebottom was really so egregious. Uh,
Trying to remember all the shit that went down. I don't know what your intention was.
I'm Jen
Like
Butler.
trying to
This is the
memorize
Third
the
Vote
Bible
podcast.
backwards to the
Thank you for listening.
start and reciting it from the heart upside down. Oh, please, on your knees, amend what you defend. I'm right before I fight. You're wrong. This fight is lifelong.
And this is where it gets complicated. As a woman, that was like one of the safest, most meritocratic environments I've ever been in.
It was always like, "Oh, you should have seen what it was like, and it was way worse than this is way better than it used to be," which is not a great argument. And it was always like, "Oh, so this is abuse light? Great. I'm so excited." Well, England was the one of the more recent empires, so, um, and that is, a lot of that culture, a lot of their education was, that was built on, like, here's how you run an empire, and uh, and obviously entitled and privileged, um, like nobody's business. And then it shifted over to America.